Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Talha Khan. I'm the head of innovation at ADIB, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to our 2020 FinTech Hive Speed Networking event from our fantastic Simple Lab. We're excited to be doing this year's event virtually. As a bank, we are proud to support the development of a vibrant FinTech ecosystem in the UAE, and our partnership with FinTech Hive, which is now in its 4th consecutive year, is testament to that fact. We've made great strides since we launched our digital transformation program a little under 2 years ago, having brought to market innovative new features and services. We see partnerships with fintechs as a way to complement and enhance our proposition further and help us in our desire to make banking simple, friendly, and convenient. Before we kick off, I'd like to welcome our guests from DIFC and the gathered fintechs. We're looking forward to what will no doubt be an exciting event. Today, we have 8 fintechs who have been invited to pitch their solutions and ideas, which will hopefully form the basis for an interesting and constructive dialogue. For the benefit of our fintech guests, we have around 60 colleagues from ADIB who represent different business areas from retail, digital, IT, compliance, fraud risk management, wealth management, and others. Our ADIB colleagues are here to listen to your presentations and ideas and identify solutions that can help them in their businesses. I'd now like to introduce our CEO, Mr. Sandeep Chauhan, to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. It is an absolute pleasure for Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank to partner with the FinTech Hive. I would like to congratulate Your Excellency Raja Mazuri and her team for having built what is the leading financial services fintech accelerator in the region. For the past 3 years, the FinTech Hive has brought the best and the brightest of the global solutions that have now been adopted quite seamlessly in the region and in the local market. We at Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank have benefited, and I know of many financial institutions in the region that speak very proudly of the achievements through their participation onto this accelerator. So thank you once again, Your Excellency, for bringing this and continuing to to provide the leadership that this new age capability requires. By way of introduction to some of the presenters today, Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank is the world's fourth largest Islamic institution, financial services institution, and you'll also be glad to know that we are the world's second largest digital market share of Islamic financing, which shows our commitment and the commitment of our board and management to emerge, continue to remain a leader in this growing digital economy. We at Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank have already invested over 300 million in the past 2 years towards growing our digital capabilities, and we are committed to invest a similar amount in the next 2 to 3 years and maintain our leadership in delivering world-class digital services. The FinTech Hive to us has been the crucible of innovation, and it has helped us in the past, and we look forward to continuing to transform three experiences. Number one, we look forward to transform customer experiences in this digital economy. Number two, we look to radically transform staff experiences in how they operate in a modern organization and a modern workplace. And we continue to look at transforming ecosystem experiences. As we all know, a digital economy requires ecosystems to play and operate. So we are very, very keen to maintain and deliver the best experiences to these three groups. We are all currently going through this new world, the new normal that we live in. And what we are keen to do is to benefit from the paradigm shift that the world is seeing in the whole remote operating model that seems to be getting more and more embedded and accepted by consumers and corporates. We are looking for solutions that accelerate us to emerge as even a stronger leader in this changed world. So anything that exists out there that could magnify our position in this new normal would be very, very welcome. The second thing that we seek to benefit from is the digital adoption. We have seen digital transactions adoption go up very significantly. We have seen consumers of all ages are now embracing digital, not just the millennials, but across all the demographics that we serve. Secondly, we are also seeing significant adoption and demand from corporates of all sizes. We had seen in the last few years adoption by large corporates, but the new normal has pushed digital adoption to a new level. Our strategy around digital is built on 5 building blocks, and we call those building blocks as A, B, C, D, and E. To simplify it to you, A for use of artificial intelligence and robotics, B for the use of big data and advanced analytics. C, to the adoption of cloud and cloud computing. D, for devices and mobile capabilities that devices and machines offer. And E is participating in ecosystems. So we are driving and accelerating our digital capabilities both inside the organization and outside the organization along these 5 themes. And we would continue to look for partners, fintechs like yourselves, who could help us make significant disruptive changes to the world. I'm really proud to share with you that we have been shortlisted by Gartner as one of the most innovative financial services institution for this year's, for 2020, on the EMEA category. And that's another testimony of an external validation that our approach to innovation and approach to digitization is truly market leading, and we continue to invest in that. To the fintechs, I would say we recognize where you are in the evolution of your organization, and we would like to partner with you in a way where we acknowledge that situation. We like you because you have point solutions, you are very passionate about it. We recognize that you operate in a far more agile manner than what we do today. And it is that commitment with which I come to you today, that we will provide you the environment if you are chosen to operate in this agile operating model with a true sense of partnership, and provide you the ability to industrialize your solutions and become your biggest showcase in financial services, and especially in the world of Islamic financial institutions. With that, once again, I would like to thank Your Excellency Raja Mazuri and her team for bringing this opportunity to us. And we look forward to partnering with all of you to keep our position as a digital Islamic bank as a leader and maintain that. Thank you very much and wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Sandeep. It's great to hear your thoughts on this very important subject. And now, everyone, I'd like to introduce our auditorium area of our Simple Lab. For our next speaker, I'd like to bring on Raja Al-Mazrui, Executive Vice President of ADIB-FintechHive and the champion behind this accelerator program, to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me today with you, and thank you for opening your institution, your mind, to the new technologies and innovations that we are trying to collaborate with to transform the financial services sector. Thank you, Sandeep, for the introduction. I believe with your mindset and vision, you will be able to move Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank from being the fourth to being the first. The opportunity is huge. The Islamic opportunity, the transformation of Islamic opportunity is absolutely huge. And Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank has the talent and resources to make that happen. Thank you for arranging amongst your colleagues to have us and our 2020 cohort today with you. And thank you for being a continued support of the FintechHive innovation in this year. Your institution is one of many who have defined the priority areas for the 2020 cohort and select them after a 3-day interview process in July. We appreciate the time that you put in throughout the lockdown period to discuss the institution's priorities for this year. COVID has made a big impact on priorities for this year, and we can see a shift in the digital transformation adoption by all sectors, specifically financial services. We have shared with your institution a detailed report on trends that we foresee in the fintech sector. And for this year, we have received more than 600 applications of innovative technologies from startups all over the world, pitching their technologies to have the opportunity to work with the leading financial institutions like yourselves in the region through the FinTech Hive Accelerator program. Today's cohort is selected from the pool of 600, and they've selected by the leading industry experts in financial services sector. And they cover the following areas: customer service and engagement, payments infrastructure, open banking, treasury management, KYC, anti-money laundering, data security, digital identification, and Islamic banking. Islamic banking has been and will continue to be a focus area for the DIFC FinTech Hive to continue and support the UAE initiative to position the UAE as the capital of Islamic finance. These startups come from all over the world and are so excited to present to you their solutions during these sessions. Your institution representatives have selected this cohort and a focused number of startups who would be more relevant to you. We count on your support, on your guidance to reach an optimal goal of collaboration with these fintechs through your expertise and your institution. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to hearing your feedback at the end of this journey.
Thank you, Raja. We are all inspired by the hard work and effort undertaken by FinTech Hive to boost the fintech sector in the UAE. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague, Nabil Luqman, who will be moderating today's event. Over to you, Nabil.
Thanks, Talha. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. Before we commence proceedings, I'd like to remind you of some housekeeping. For our fintech guests, please know that each of you will have a maximum of 5 minutes to present your solution. This will then be followed by a 5-minute slot for Q&A. For our ADIB colleagues, please ensure that you minimize all distractions by keeping your phones on silent and closing other applications. For Q&A, you'll be able to submit your questions through the tab at the bottom of the screen, as each fintech is presenting, and I will relay these to the fintech on your behalf. I'd also like to highlight that in preparation for this event, we have already executed NDAs with all of the fintechs presenting today to facilitate an open exchange of questions and answers. If we run out of time during Q&A, please make a note of your questions, and you can pick these up in individual sessions after the event. As you can see, we are virtual this year. And as such, unlike previous years, we won't immediately have the option of a one-to-one meeting with the fintechs after this event. However, we will be facilitating meetings and sessions with fintechs that you're interested in over the coming weeks. Please await instructions from the innovation team relating to this. We will now start with our first presentation. I'd like to welcome Tarbut Gateway.
Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank, welcome. Thank you for making the time. My name is Abdullah Al-Muayyad, and I'm the founder and CEO of Tarbut Gateway. The world is changing, and it's changing fast. The banking world is changing. We have open banking coming up. We have people's customers' expectation changing extremely fast, and we need to keep up. That is why we were born. That is why TG was established. TG was established 3 years ago with the premise of delivering the spirit of open banking. Today, you log into your Amazon account, and the first thing that pops up is the kind of books that you like to read. Tomorrow, you log into your YouTube account, and the first thing that pops up is the kind of videos that you like to watch. Yet when you deal with your banks, it's still very much a one size fits all. Do they guess what you need? Do they give you the products that you need when you need them? No, they don't, not at the moment at least. And that is what TG does. We help banks personalize financial services. TG to date is the first and only licensed open banking provider. We're the largest open banking provider, integrating with banks all the way from Beirut to Bahrain to Kuwait and broader. We're now moving into the UAE, and we'd love to work with ADIB. I'll give you a bit of brief on open banking and what it is, but I'm sure you've all heard about it. It's basically the biggest opportunity that banks have ever seen. You get the opportunity to integrate all these various data points to be able to risk profile, sell items, sell products, or integrate to third parties to create a more personalized financial services. If, as they say, data is the new oil, then consider us the modern pipelines of the MENA region. Open banking is here. It's even here in the UAE already. People are already, or companies are already scraping what they call using methods such as screen scraping to be able to integrate these financial information into a single platform. Now, we aim to change that. As a licensed entity, we operate an API-only infrastructure. Now, away from the boring stuff, and let's stick to, away from the technicalities, but we offer an API-only stable infrastructure that allows people to integrate into this. We allow banks to innovate. We actually help banks become more dynamic to be able to innovate. And what I mean by that is we take care of all the boring stuff, all the infrastructure, the security, the marketplace, the onboarding of third parties which you want to entertain, we take care of. On the other end, we actually help you create what's known as personalized financial services. Now, what I mean by that is personalization is something that's demanded by customers today. As I use the YouTube account and the Amazon account, it's the same thing with financial services. What we help you do is understand your customers better to create financial services or personalized financial services. The way we do that is by accounts aggregation, through enrichment tools, categorization tools, all this advanced AI, machine learning that sits on top of these pipelines that are bringing in data relating to these customers from various places to be able to help you understand. But at the same time, we help you innovate by opening up an entire marketplace of other opportunities. As the region's largest open banking platform, you can imagine what kind of infrastructure we have or what kind of fintechs we've integrated. And the idea here is, even within the process, is to sit down, have a conversation with the bank, show them what we've done previously, do a design workshop on what segments are you going after? How can we help you build things that you need? And basically, we're not your typical software company. TG was built on the premise of one thing. We help banks create financial services. We've worked over the past few years as a licensed entity. We've basically operated 4 different verticals of products, let's say. Data aggregation products, enrichment products, payments products, but underlying everything is the future of finance, is open APIs. We all hear about open finance and open data. We help you prepare for that world. As the most advanced company in this space at the moment, we'd love to have you on board and be able to discuss and get into design workshops and things like that to be able to showcase to you why open banking is actually an opportunity and not a threat. Open banking has been seen in Europe and other jurisdictions. We've worked with banks all over the region. We'd love to have you on board and to run a design workshop to be able to assess your requirements and see how we can take this further to ultimately create personalized financial services. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Abdullah. We're now going to start the Q&A session. For ADIB colleagues, you'll notice a comment box under the screen where you can enter your name and submit your question. If you maximize your screen for the presentation, you'll need to minimize this first. Our first question. In Bahrain, the central bank has put in place a framework for open banking. We don't currently have anything similar in the UAE. What opportunities for collaboration with ADIB do you see in such an environment?
Yeah, thanks, Talha. Thanks again for the question. I think the open banking doesn't require regulations for you to start looking at opportunities. Dubai does currently have regulations for such an entity like us. Open banking is a mindset. ADIB is now being scraped by third-party providers. They are extracting information. It's a question of whether you want to embrace the movement or not. We have a case, an international case between UK versus Singapore, for example. In Singapore, the open banking regulations were there, but just not mandated. Yet you have banks and leading banks like DBS Bank that have completely embraced it. So what we basically do here is the opportunities of open APIs are endless. And the reality is, I think, embracing it regardless of regulation and let regulation follow. We always tend to say, Talha, is regulation doesn't lead innovation. It's usually the other way around. Innovation comes first and then regulation follows. So that's the mindset on which we would advise looking at open banking.
Great, great.
I see a question pop up. Should I wait for you to read it?
Yes, I'll read out the question to you.
Sure.
So what could be a hypothetical use case that ADIB and Tarawood could work on to get the ball rolling?
Absolutely. So from everything I heard from Sandeep's speech, I think the 5 pillars of your digital strategy are very aligned to ours: artificial intelligence, big data, cloud, ecosystems, and big data and ecosystems. If you look at the agility and the dynamic nature that ADIB wants to implement, today you need to onboard and basically do a due diligence on every single third party that you'd want to integrate. We run that entire infrastructure on your behalf. So if Talha calls us up and says, listen, I have these 5 fintechs I'd want to test out. Can you test them out? Give them a sandbox environment that basically mirrors our environment. We do that onboarding. We do the technical due diligence on them. We get them to send you a POC and showcase. So we are considered your tech infrastructure innovation partner. We take care of the boarding stuff, let you focus on the customer. It creates much more agility and much more dynamic nature as far as your onboarding processes. This is something we've done with many of the international banks, and we've seen to it to really be absorbed well.
Excellent. We have another question from our CIO. What is the impact of GDPR on open banking?
Yeah, it's a very strong impact. Talha asked me before in the first question, what happens in the case of open banking not being implemented as a framework? GDPR is, and what GDPR states is the user owns their data. So if they consent to a third party, the bank should avail an infrastructure. So it's really data ownership. If we're saying here that the bank doesn't own the data and GDPR imposes that Abdullah is the owner of his own data, then technically we must avail the infrastructure and others must avail the infrastructure to be able to integrate it. So it is the premise. GDPR and open banking go hand in hand.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to allow another 30 seconds for questions. We have one more question from Jalila Sakan. In open banking, what is the level of data sharing which will be required?
It depends on the bank's initiatives and the regulations. It usually starts with typically where we say international jurisdictions right now is everything that is publicly available on your online portals. So if Talha logs into his online bank account right now, he sees his mortgage, his credit card, he sees his balances, and he sees transactional data. Technically, everything that is available through your online portal should be replicated via APIs. And that's what we're seeing as being standard right now.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That wraps up our Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd now like to welcome Nesta.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mohammed Paracha. I'm one of the co-founders of Nesta. I'm based in the DIFC, and my partner Yunus is based in the UK. My background is that I'm a partner at the international law firm Norton Rose Fulbright. I specialize in Islamic finance. And in my past, I was a member of the UK's government initiative as a member of the Bank of England's Committee on Islamic Finance, which made London a hub. And I'm currently working for the government of Dubai on creating an AOFI-compliant unified Islamic finance code.
Hi, moving on to myself. I'm Yunus Abidou, an accountant, ex-EY, and a senior real estate banker of a couple of decades. My experience is in financing several billion in real estate, pan-European and over across in the US, and so proficient around property. More recently working with and alongside the majority of active Islamic banks and branches here in the UK, including ADIB real estate team in the UK.
So our experiences over our careers have led us to build Nesta. We've taken the best of our experiences to effectively help our customers. And really, the summary of this slide is that financial exclusion exists all around us. In the UK, it's amongst the Muslim community and other communities, but the same exists in the US and Canada. So on the flip side of that, whilst there is a lack of savings products in the UK, banks are also financially excluded because they have higher costs of operating in these markets. They don't necessarily have the right people and the right expertise, which is difficult, and the right quality of assets that are performing on their loan book. What Nesta does as a fintech-based business is innovate and is agile and brings these two components together.
And so just moving on to the product itself, you would have heard the expression two sides of the same coin, and that probably describes a core product of Nesta very well. On one side is a property financing solution for SMEs, a market that is severely undersupplied and frankly non-existent from an Islamic financing offering. And on the other side, a secured investment for those seeking a simple return while taking the comfort of having property as collateral. All this is delivered through an electronic platform which we've built in-house and we'll come on to shortly. Without going into the detail, but the message of this slide is quite important. There is a shift in investor expectations. To date, wealth managers have invested in property for high capital growth, taking equity risk, but they've not achieved those expected returns. Direct lending offers a strong return on a secured basis, and as a result, there's been an increase in demand from hedge funds. Nesta is democratizing that fund-led product to retail investors.
So I want to move on to what the opportunity between Nesta and ADIB is. I think that we offer a lower cost and higher return product for the bank. We are effectively ready to commercialize. As founders, we have taken all of the startup risk and hopefully soon we get our FCA authorization. Well, what does that mean? Well, as we commercialize, with ADIB, it gives an opportunity to underwrite more UK real estate business. It offers an interesting product to wealth management, which we can talk about in more details. But it also allows us to build upon our business plan ambitions, which are very much aligned with ADIB in terms of taking Nesta as a global Islamic finance brand into other markets, whether it's the Middle East or the US, as well as our ambition to build Nesta into effectively a house to create innovative and structured products.
Thank you, Mohammed. So what does the actual platform look like? We've presented here a very quick walkthrough. It takes you through the login, onboarding process, and deal investments. Our in-house developers have built the software, retaining the IP as a Nesta asset. For the techies, without getting into too much detail, the front end is built with a Java React language, the language that Facebook is built on. The back end is using .NET Core and SQL Server. We've also integrated all support providers directly through APIs, including KYC, onboarding, Murabaha trading process, using Salesforce as a CRM and an administration tool. And you can see here the final flow. And just moving on here to a visualization of what the platform entails. The integration of the support service providers through APIs at the top. We've got the .NET Core and the React front end there. And so just I'd just like to move on then to allow Mohammed to finalize and provide a summary of where we are.
Yeah, I think we're going to probably run out of time, but
oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mohammed and Yunus. We will now start the Q&A.
Yeah, we probably need another 20 seconds, but thanks.
That's fine.
So our first question is from Ahmed, from our digital team. What are the latest trends in property investment in light of COVID-19, particularly as fewer office spaces are in use? Is there any ripple effect towards residential properties?
So you yeah.
Yeah, sure. So there is an immediate effect on property investment in the UK. However, residential investment from the UK and overseas has remained resilient. There is an expected slowdown in the economy, which will result in a reduction in expected demand of office space, retail space as a result of COVID. However, the UK is a very resilient economy and is considered an economy of wealth preservation. So our expectation, the expectation of the property industry here in the UK is that recovery will be seen very quickly. Areas like residential and industrial sectors have not been impacted as hard as other areas such as retail.
Excellent. You mentioned democratizing property investment and bringing it to the masses. What would be the minimum ticket size to participate?
So the minimum ticket size is £1,000. And just put very simply, whilst we get another question, if we, for example, are booking a £1 million transaction, the democratizing effectively is, obviously we are underwriting a transaction by way of example, let's say 8% or 6%. What we're doing with the savings product is using the platform to create a retail syndication model. So that effectively democratizes the financial asset and makes it available as an investment product on our platform.
Great. What regulatory approval does your solution require to be offered in the UAE, and what steps are you taking or planning to take to obtain these?
So our version 1 of our platform, the MVP, if you like, is effectively looking at the UK as our customer base and the customer base of investors and high net worth individuals on the wealth management side in the UK. In terms of outside of the UK, the relationships that we've been building with the likes of IDB and other funders has been very much to power the Nesta book with funding lines. What we are doing as part of FinTech Hive is exploring strategic relationships with banks such as ADIB, who could help us come into the region, because we see the region as being not only an opportunity to unlock additional wealth management product, but also make Nesta a global brand in the region. And that's why we're here. Put very simply, if we had the right partner banks with us, whether through funding lines or strategic relationships, if we are booking a 6 or 7% financing and a wealth management platform is able to provide 1 or 2 times leverage, they're suddenly able to offer a 13 or 14% secured product, investment product to their clients against UK real estate, which is a secured investment.
Excellent. We'll now have another 30 seconds for questions. It doesn't look like there are any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye all.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome Voucher.
Hi, I'm Aaron Whitehead from Voucher. Today I'm going to show you our exciting, innovative experience platform designed for peer-to-peer digital payments. Our team comes from the world of gaming and social media, which is a really great place for innovation. We brought that knowledge and experience into mobile payments. We know how to design and build customer engagement. The problem today is that mobile banking apps are functional first. They're built as banking tools, the same tool used by every bank. Customers have high expectations on digital experiences. They demand more. They leave your banking app still with a job to do, to socialize and communicate the context around their money transfer. Voucher has built an experience platform that gives customers the opportunity to express themselves and send more than just money. Our platform wraps around existing payments, so there's no change to your current send money process. Customers remain in your banking app and enjoy a much deeper customer experience. This case study shows you a glimpse of what our platform can do. One of our clients is EQ Bank, based in Canada, that has it powered by TransferWise for their cross-border payments. By simply adding our personalization button, we were able to turn a dull, boring, two-dimensional money transfer into an exciting gift. Here, let me show you. It starts inside of the banking app. At the end of the normal P2P transaction, the customer can explore and add a personalized message. This takes you into the voucher world. Here you can see all of the different occasions: birthday, payback. There's something for everyone. As you can see there, the payment tile shows that the money has been sent, but there's no sensitive personal information in the notification. All of these fun occasions are available, and there's something for everyone. What you see here is a preview. This is sent to the receiver, who has a really great experience. The notification is sent through to the receiver through your existing notification channels. They open up the e-greeting, and the message and music pop out for a digital experience that can be shared on social media. Through one integration to our platform, we offer several use cases: cash gifting, games and challenges, and merchant offers. Each of these is designed to allow for monetization on an otherwise cost-heavy P2P operating structure. Let me just show you real quick each use case. Cash gifting. Like you saw in the video, this allows the sender to give the gift of cash and wrap a personalized message around it. With the global lockdown, 2020 is already becoming the breakout year for cash gifting. People want to connect with friends and family even when they can't be there in person. Our games and challenges, we add a challenge layer on top of any payment. Beat my score. I can send you on a treasure hunt, or go to our favorite place for the payment to be unlocked. Or a fun selfie challenge like show me your diploma before graduation month. The possibilities here are endless. What we know is that participation drives satisfaction, and that creates loyalty over time. We also have merchant offers. When you send money, you can also send a discount or call to action. Hey, I'm paying you back for dinner, and here's a cup of coffee, or use this discount to make your money go further. We bring together the power of purchase and the power of brand suggestion. All of this is included, along with our future innovation, through a single integration to our platform. Our dashboard is really the place for your Marcom teams to build and launch campaigns. They can add their own content or use ours. We offer analytics to tell you what's working, grow your success upon success. And we have a range of integration options. As a next step, what we ask of you is your send and receive money flow so that we can show you where voucher comes into play. From there, we can discuss the best integration option and then look at building together a joint business case. We'd love to kick off the integration and go live. All of this can be accomplished in 2 months. Even though this is our first meeting, I'm confident to say we'd love to work with you. We see enormous potential to build a better ADIB by building a better ADIB customer experience with you.
Thank you, Aaron.
My pleasure.
So for our first question, do you have any live use cases where you've been able to encourage greater loyalty and better engagement through gamification?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our whole, all of our use cases build loyalty. So that's really the whole idea behind that. What I showed there in the demo, just adding a very simple personalization button, immediately had pickup. So we saw in the first month, literally 11% of people were clicking through there and wanting to personalize. That's grown since then. So, you know, all of those use cases that you saw there, they're all meant to drive loyalty.
Excellent. And is your API documentation available to view?
Absolutely, yes. It's very well documented. For those of you techies in the audience, we've been told it's a very elegant solution. So it's very well documented, and we're happy to share it.
Excellent. Is there a sandbox environment?
Well, the easiest thing to do would be to do a proof of concept, and probably that's let's say the safe place there. We've had other partners that have turned it on and gone live internally before then they put it out to external customers. So, you know, we'd be happy to test with you before it goes into the customer's hands, basically.
Great.
One thing that I saw on your website that was very encouraging was your tagline for your mobile banking: experience the power of digital banking, which I find very encouraging because experience is the key word there.
Definitely. We have another question. Can the experience be personalized for the region, e.g. tailored towards Emiratis?
Yes, it absolutely can. So our dashboard, hopefully that came out in the presentation, but our dashboard is really a place for you to add content. We're bringing content. Banks are famously not good at driving content. So we bring that, but there's a space there for you in that dashboard to add any content that you want. Our team is also very collaborative. Our design team, happy to make it relevant for you, those occasions that are relevant for you. Of course, in local languages, always. So absolutely, it's adaptable.
Excellent. Have you had any engagement in the GCC region?
That's what we're doing on the program now. So we are definitely eager to show you. We're completely convinced that customers are demanding a better experience. We see that across the whole world, but your region is growing, obviously, in mobile penetration. So we know that people want a better experience. So that's what we want to show you through a POC. We want to validate what we are hearing from customers. We feel like what we're proposing is aligned with ADIB, aligned with serving your customers. So we would really like to put it in their hands and show you what the power of socializing payments can do for you.
Excellent. We'll have another 30 seconds for questions. So we have a question from Ortaj Usar. How you measure the success of your engagement with your clients? The usage of personalized messages might increase, but any uptake from business point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the point of all of this is to drive business results. So we measure satisfaction, which is, you know, a first touch of getting customer feedback. But, you know, loyalty is it takes time. But absolutely, with our other clients, we're measuring their KPIs. Are we driving revenue? Are we bringing more value to the business? So absolutely. Basically, those analytics that I quickly showed you there, that is meant to drive a ongoing business discussion. So that we make sure that we're plugged into your KPIs as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Aaron.
My pleasure. Thank you. Looking forward. Thanks.
I'd now like to welcome Infer.
Hi, I'm Connor Moran. I work in business development with Infer. Infer is a secret computing company. We work on a number of different privacy-preserving techniques, some of which you may have heard of before, everything from fully homomorphic encryption to secure multi-party computation. But what we do is we make it possible for companies like yourself to work on data, perform data analysis, either basic statistical functions through more complex machine learning, in a way that you never see the underlying data inputs and necessitates no data transfer whatsoever. The problem that a lot of organizations are having right now is that they're restricted from accessing more data. That could be because of private data inputs. It could be because of jurisdictional data transfer issues like Gdpr or data residency requirements. We have an evolution for clients using the technology that falls under intra, inter, and ecosystem buckets. On an intra basis, clients use the technology so that they can perform analysis on data that is located within their own organization, but perhaps in a different jurisdiction. Moving along the arc or the evolution, we have inter-use cases where clients are now able to access new data sources that are outside of their organization, or perhaps new features from existing data sources. And finally, we have an ecosystem that is forming. Clients using our technology to improve their models to become more predictive in a way that every new participant who uses our technology will gain a benefit. And one of the best examples of that we'll talk about is in fraud modeling. I'd like to walk through a quick demo here of our user interface. Clients can access the technology via an extensive Python library, a number of different API endpoints, or our user interface. What they'd be looking to do in this scenario is a simple private set intersection function or algorithm. And what that does is it looks for a unique identifier amongst distributed data sets. These data sets are placed on virtual machines that we call XOR machines, located either in the cloud or on-prem, but again, in a way that the analyst running the function would not be able to see that data, nor would Infer. With multi-party computation and our XOR solution, Infer is not able to see the data. There is no third party. The function would be submitted across a number of different data sources, and the analyst would be able to select which features they'd like to reveal at the end of the process. This can be carried forward in a joined operation so that the output is used in training a model, like a logistic regression model. The XOR service essentially compiles this set of information from the analyst and distributes it to the virtual machines, creating a layer of secret share encryption, which is cryptographically and mathematically secure, again, in a way that prevents someone from being able to see the data inputs, where the analyst only sees the output. It is fast, it is precise, and we have lowered the computational overhead significantly. We work with a number of banks. We took a Series A fundraising round from JP Morgan in 2018, in which they were the lead investor. Most of our use cases fall in that bucket in financial services. Clients right now are using this for cross-jurisdictional machine learning, insight monetization, customer marketing modeling, credit and risk models, in the capital market space, blind trade matching, and fraud modeling. One of the fraud model use case is being led by Bank of New York Mellon. Again, this is an ecosystem where we have been working with them to use their boosted decision tree models in a way that will now allow them to train their fraud models on other banks. So imagine a scenario where banks are no longer limited and only seeing the transaction data that they have, but perhaps looking at another bank in an ecosystem where every additional participating player using XOR wins. We have a team of 30 colleagues, 11 of whom have PhDs. We publish extensively. We have offices in Lausanne, Switzerland, so close proximity to the Middle East. We have an office in New York City where I'm located, and we also have an office in San Francisco. Over the next 3 months, we'd like to engage in a POC, a proof of concept, where you would have the ability to work on the data in a sandbox environment, to test it and ensure it's mathematically accurate with an eye towards moving this to production and developing new use cases.
Thank you for the presentation. Our first question from Ahmet in the digital team. At how many touch points is Infa integrating into bank systems?
It depends on the bank, really, and their stage of evolution and whether or not they have both commercial banking operations as well as capital markets operations. We tend to find that the entry point with most banks is around jurisdictional issues where they may not be able to operate on data from a similar line of business in a different country. It kind of evolves from there. And so right now with our existing clients that are in production mode, we have somewhere between like 3 or 4 different use cases per bank.
Excellent. We have another question coming in. Can you articulate in more detail some of the use cases mentioned, particularly with respect to fraud prevention, AML, and transaction monitoring?
Sure. This is one of the use cases, particularly around transaction monitoring and fraud prevention, that is really taking off for clients that are in a proof of concept mode and then evolving that to a production license, as you saw with one of the slides that I showed with Bank of New York Mellon. Banks are typically limited to what they can see with their transaction data, and that's what they train their models on for anti-money laundering and fraud. We're giving them the ability to expand outside of that. We're hearing from regulators, at least here in the United States, that that's something that they want to see more of, data collaboration. And so we're now making it possible to have a bank, so in this case, Bank of New York Mellon, now train their model, which is an XG boost, so boosted decision tree model, on data that's coming from another bank. So just use a hypothetical bank, JP Morgan. Now you could potentially leverage the transaction data analysis from JP Morgan and vice versa. And that's basically what I was alluding to with the ecosystem environment that we're creating. Each new participant or each new bank that joins by licensing our service has the ability to train their respective models around anti-money laundering and fraud transaction. Yeah.
Thank you.
So basically, if I can just add something, like every bank will benefit of like having more data to train their algorithm. So it's just not only for applied machine learning, but for example, for private set interception, where you can match different transaction monitoring system there.
Right.
Thanks.
We have a question from Peter Klimisch. What areas of the bank would typically benefit the most from your solution?
Yeah, I mean, I think that depends on where the bank gets started. Some banks are just limited to data residency issues or jurisdictional issues where that might be the major pain point for them. I think when you have banks that have a lot of machine learning models that are in production right now, they'll naturally see the most benefit from that because they have the most data sources, they have the most evolved models. There's the potential for collaboration with other banks. So I think in a scenario like that, that would see the most benefit. I think if I had to pick a specific area now, just based on the evolution of where we're at, it would be on the commercial banking side of the house versus maybe the capital markets where use cases are still evolving.
And we have another question from Jalila Sakan. What's the major elements to deliver ROI?
I think in some cases it's easy to quantify. For the fraud use case that we just described with Bank of New York Mellon, you can actually measure that with the area under curve lift, or the ROC lift. When you think about approaching towards a level of 1, meaning it's a very precise model and you're mitigating false positives and false negatives. In a scenario like that, where they look at the amount of money that they spend on losses for fraud every year, as well as what they spend on trying to combat that, the precision increase in the models is very easy to quantify. In other areas where it's you might just have jurisdictional data transfer issues or difficulty in performing analysis on data that's held away in a different country, that's more of a business process issue, and I think that kind of varies by bank.
And on the topic of data residency, where are you hosting data?
So this is the great part about multi-party computation and XOR. There is no third party involved whatsoever. We don't see the data. So the data is entirely located at behind the firewall of wherever the data source is, right? So either on-prem or in the cloud or a hybrid. The data stays wherever the data originates. The data is not transferred anywhere, and neither Infer nor the bank that is licensing our technology will ever actually see the underlying data.
Does that mean you don't need a presence on the ground in the UAE?
Correct.
Excellent.
I mean, if I can just add something more, basically what we are seeing about data residency, it's that right now the regulation are moving toward you have to host your server where the data owner are. So if you want, for example, to have a data residency in EU, you have to have a server or like a storage, so even a bank there. And like with our solution, you don't need to have this. So you, let's say, you are gaining of the money expenditure over like creating another storage in another country.
And a question from Ortaj Usar. Is there any bank currently using your solution for credit decisioning?
Yes, we have a bank that works with us on both credit decisioning, so kind of a binary yes, no, as well as forecasting. So a bank that we work with has this in production now, where it will tell the loan officer where the potential client, a small or mid-sized business, might be deficient, so they can kind of get ahead of the point where an outcome might be a no, where they could use our technology to be more predictive earlier on in the process to help make the decision a yes.
And any banks in the GCC region?
We don't have any right now. It hasn't been a primary area of focus. You saw we have offices there in Lausanne, Switzerland, so it's an area of interest for us. There are some banks that we're certainly excited about the opportunity to work with, and based on what Claudio and I know about data residency issues there, it sounds like it would be a good fit.
A question from Shokat Sheikh. Does your XOR engine have access to the various international sanctions lists to perform AI?
So again, Infer does not have any data we're not, we don't maintain our own data, but I am familiar with the international sanctions lists, or the idea or the concept behind it, and that's something that we can work with. It's structured data, so if the bank had access to that information or other banks wanted to collaborate on that, you could certainly use XOR to be able to find matching. There's a function that I showed in the demo quickly called private set intersection. That's exactly what it does. It finds and matches unique identifiers across distributed data sets, and again, in a way that you're never exposed to the underlying row level data.
And a question from Peter Klimish. Can you facilitate data collaboration for marketing use cases, for example, between a bank, airline, and a telecom?
Yes, absolutely. I like the way you're thinking about this. We actually, one of our first clients, ING, used us specifically for marketing around different jurisdictions. But what we saw were that as businesses wanted to enter new markets where maybe they haven't had a presence before, or where data in their vertical was difficult to access, they wanted to partner with another institution to have access to their data, like wireless telecom data. That's actually a use case that we have in play now in several areas where banks are collaborating in strategic partnerships with a wireless telecom, and they're training and trying to find matched customers between the two different data sources, where for GDPR reasons they would not be able to just share that data and then use that in cross-marketing purposes.
Excellent. We'll wait 30 seconds for any further questions. Okay, thank you very much, Claudia and Connor.
Thank you very much for everyone to listening.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome DX Compliance.
Hi, my name is Simon Dix, CEO and co-founder of DX Compliance. At DX Compliance, we help protect banks and fintechs against multi-billion-dollar fines by changing the way that AML teams work. During the hour that we are here this morning, $131 million will be laundered through the global financial system. That's $131 million every hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the proceeds of organized crime. That's $1.2 trillion laundered every year. Now, governments introduce law after law to try and stop this, leaving banks with the requirement to monitor every single transaction, but there are billions of them. And as the role of the AML and compliance management has risen in importance over the past 15 years, so has the workload, the stress level, the size of the team, and the threat of the problem. DX Compliance is focused on the behavioral and ongoing aspect of the transactions monitoring process, ensuring that you can fulfill your obligations to conduct ongoing due diligence and truly understand and mitigate the risk involved, detecting criminal activity within your customer base. We focus on the part of the customer lifecycle where the money laundering actually takes place. Currently, in order to fulfill and fully analyze any case, an average of 5 to 6 different systems are being used, with information being needed from different sources, from the core banking system to the customer database, CRM, case management systems. And in most institutions, this then results in a manual transcription of a suspicious activity report, which is collated and transcribed and sent off to the relevant authority. And while all of this chaos is going on, people are forgetting about the senior AML management who have signed their name in blood on the dotted line to ensure that they will uphold and be personally liable for ensuring a sound AML regime. While that's going on, they've got queues of auditors, external auditors, product requests, fires to put out, and a big queue forming at the door of people with multiple questions and potentially new fires that need putting out every 5 seconds. Now, DX integrates all of the data that you need to make a decision and to report and to feed back to those stakeholders in one place, ensuring that when your analysts monitor transactions in our system, everything is effectively documented and no stone has gone unturned. This includes management level reporting to allow you to have control over your settings and ensure that you can push up to your board and out to your auditors with all the information that you needed. This is found within our proprietary MLRO view, giving you crystal clear oversight at the click of a button. Our policy integration module ensures that your AML policy and your control and mitigation plans are fully integrated into your transactions monitoring system, which is then embedded with a level of machine learning to help reduce false positives on an ongoing basis, and an integrated graph analytics module to show you the types of relationships and criminal activity that you might not be actively looking for within your policy, but which are taking place within your customer base. All of this is done in a very visual way and expressing the user interface and the user friendliness of the system to make sure that people can make decisions quickly, smoothly, and efficiently. We help you make the best use of your data and ensure that you're able to host it in the place that you want, giving you time to focus on what's important. Our partners choose to work with us to solve their AML issues for clear reasons, and particularly love the fact that we give them the control to implement and change the parameters as they as an institution need to do. We align ourselves to our partners' success and ensure that on an ongoing basis, we judge ourselves on their success. At the moment, we're seeing a 75% reduction in false positives, an 85% increase to efficiency, and our SAR submission process is taking SARs from an average of 1 hour per institution per SAR to 2 minutes. Having experienced these problems myself as the head of AML and compliance for Germany's first challenger bank, we've then set up the product and built a team of highly experienced banking and private banking officials and staff who are now put together the final product, released it in 4 different countries, and we are now expanding into the UAE to make sure that we can service the region here. Our goal for 2020 is to launch in the UAE with a strong regional partner who has a clear customer base of high net worth individuals, a significant volume of international transactions, and an inherent base of transactions going to medium and higher risk countries so that we can help them mitigate their risks and demonstrate our value effectively. We want to work collaboratively with Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank and ensure that we are able to demonstrate that value, starting at a process by using a roadmap and customer profiling right through to getting feedback and demonstrating the value on dummy data. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Simon.
Thanks.
So for our first question from Mamoon, does it replace a traditional KYC system, and does it help in optimizing alerts?
No, so we definitely don't replace a KYC system. We focus on the transactions monitoring part of the process. So again, it's really that part of the customer relationship where the money laundering is actually taking place as opposed to the onboarding. And in terms of optimizing alerts, yeah, no problem. So yeah, I guess to answer both questions at once, in terms of optimizing alerts, yeah, we have our own algorithms and AI which focus actually on your own customer base and your own transaction model and business model, meaning that it becomes more specific over time for your customer base as opposed to for a retail bank sitting in London or a merchant bank sitting out of the Netherlands.
And a question from Sharon Craggs. How does the system conclude what is a false positive? Is this process auditable?
Yeah, so there's a couple of methods by which that happens. There's the kind of traditional rule-based method that we sit down and focus on, and then the machine learning element, which judges against a whole range of risk matrix and risk positions, which essentially sit and come directly out of the wider AML and CFT risk analysis. And we sit down and go through that with you. Every single one of those details that is put into the system, and every single one of those criteria is then documented. And that process as a whole is very clearly documented so that you can pass that on both to your internal auditors and external auditors.
Excellent. A question from Hassan Tahir. Is the system capable of alert generation, or would need a base system to generate alerts, which will be optimized by a solution?
No, so the system is very much designed to be the system that generates the alerts. you can essentially implement your existing AML policy and control the mitigation plan into it, and see the results of that in the system as generated as alerts. But then on top of that, you also have a networking analysis element, which brings through the otherwise unseen criminal activity, and that's the ongoing optimization.
We'll give it another 30 seconds for questions.
No problem.
We have one more question. So our last question from Mamoon, does it keep or maintain any data?
Yeah, so we have two versions. We have a kind of lighter, let's say a lighter SaaS version, which is really designed for smaller companies and smaller partners. And that does maintain data within it, and we actually work as a hosting partner there. But for banks specifically, we're doing some interesting work in Switzerland at the moment. And as you can imagine, that means that we don't host or maintain that data. Rather, that's done directly by the client, either on premises, or quite often what we're seeing at the moment is a mixture of on-prem and hybrid cloud, to really ensure that's secure on their side.
Great. Thank you very much, Simon.
No problem. Thanks very much.
Thank you. I'd now like to welcome FOMOPay.
Hi, very good afternoon here from Singapore. And today we are presenting FOMOPay to empowering digital transaction banking for ADIB. Here is the current market. Traditional banking is realizing the market space to the digital banking. So you may hear that WeChat Pay, Alipay from the e-commerce or the social media space, they are right now launching their own banking solution. Facebook, Microsoft, or Google, they are also trying to enter as a new bank player. And how does the traditional FI, traditional banking really respond to this? So you may say also Standard Chartered or ING Bank is also reacting to this. Especially in this post-COVID-19 world, we see that there is a huge demand on the new value creation. And that's what the FOMOPay we are trying to bring to the ADIB today. So I'm breaking down this digital banking solution into three parts. First one, digital payment enabling. Second one, cross-border interoperability. And the third one, modular technology. The first solution, digital payment enabling. Because for past 5 years, FOMOPay has been the largest mobile payment aggregator, has been working with more than 20 digital wallets. So connect to FOMO, we can instantly connect you to all those digital wallets. For the second part about the cross-border interoperability, we do know the background about Visa, MasterCard. They took like around 30 years to connect different cards or the banks over the world. But in future, we see the demand to connect the different digital wallets and interoperate with each other in this actually new digital generation. And here is one real example that we have been working with the largest wallet in China called WeChat Pay, and one of the largest wallet in Singapore here called NetsPay. We let them to interoperate each other, just the same way that Visa, MasterCard interoperate the card. The third solution is also about our modular technology. We do understand different banks have different demand on based on your own client's requirement. So that's why we are offering the online payment solution and the in-store payment solution, and targeting the large, middle, and small merchant into different kind of accommodation of the modules. Here is also one all-in-one about our solution breakdown. From the payment notification, about the QR generation, and to the financial reconciliation, we have the entire system for your IT or the product team to go through with. And one thing more I want to share with you here is FormalPay, we are also regulated and licensed by the Central Bank of Singapore, gold standard here. So we are also able to offer our digital remittance solution for you. No matter what you want to send to the banks, like what Western Union or American Express did, but we can also help you to do the remittance to the digital wallet, which is very promising in future. Here is the product map actually we have launched. So FormalPay, we have been very active here in Asia. We also recently launched our solution in Africa, starting from Kenya. And now we want to bring our solution to Middle East as well. And our clients, as mentioned, can break down into different combination. So we have the client like a bank, like a payment scheme, like a digital wallet, and also remittance house. So they can choose different part of our solution to serve their customer. And now I want to also give you a little bit background about why you should trust the Formal. We are the Central Bank award winner from the Central Bank Singapore here, and we're also the first Visa-ready partner in APAC. We are also recognized by multiple banks like Citibank, OCBC Bank, and DBS Bank. Recently, we are also recognized by the World Economic Forum as really the first batch of the global innovator try to solve the public and the private issues. Here is also a little bit of a complaint milestone, so which I can also share with you a little bit more about how FormalPay grows for the past 5 years. But due to the time limit, I want to end up with these slides. That's actually why ADIB can work with FormalPay. And thanks for your time. Feel free to ask me if any question.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
So our first question is from Mamoon. How can it help ADIB in implementing cross-border payments for areas like Pakistan, India, and Egypt with low costs and fees? What does it need to integrate with our ecosystem? And is it a separate app or can be used as part of our app?
Okay, that's a very good question. I can share with you a little bit work that we have done with Citibank. So you may know that Citibank was very strong in the established market, like a US market. So in the traditional US market, they already have the card presence, like Visa, MasterCard, very well. So they don't really need to work with us. But in the emerging market, like the region you mentioned, like Pakistan, all those India, Egypt, all those emerging market, that's where the bank really need the presence of fintech to help them to connect it to the local infrastructure. And the FormalPay, we are providing the role for the Citibank to integrate with them in terms of the digital wallet locally. In Singapore, we will help them work with the PayNow here. And Malaysia, they have like a PayNet. Thailand, they have a PromptPay of those new digital wallet. And more specifically for the Pakistan, India, and Egypt, we are also in the way to integrate with the local wallet. That's the first part of the question. And second question is asking about do we need to build another separate app or can use like your existing solution? The answer is we are okay. We are open for both solutions. What FormalPay we are building is like a Visa and MasterCard. We are the network and connecting the counterparty with you. So if you already have your own digital wallet or your own banking app, so we can just connect directly. But if you don't, we can also help you to launch that one.
Excellent. And with regards to remittances, what countries are covered by your solution, specifically within the Indian subcontinent and MENA regions?
Okay, sure. That's also a very good question. Because the remittance space is very, very competitive and very saturated right now, especially in MENA region. So we fully understand that the Western Union, all those like traditional players, they have a huge presence in the Middle East in terms of transferring to the bank. So we can also offer the bank transfer solution to those regions. But what really differentiates us from the traditional player, it's really the remittance solution to the digital wallet. So right now in the MENA region, I think the wallet is not ready to do the remittance. But in China, so for example, we can help you to do the remittance to the WeChat Pay and Alipay. So that the cost of remittance into the wallet is much cheaper and much faster. And in terms of the compliance process, it will also be much smoother compared to the traditional bank remittance experience. Yeah, but we do offer the traditional bank remittance solution as an intermediate solution.
Excellent. And who would you say are your closest competitors in this space?
Okay, sure. This question is a little bit tricky because for FormoPay, we has been pivot our business model quite a lot. So 5 years ago, we started as a payment company, but with like a at that time, our largest competitor was bank, because bank can also do the digital payment. But 2 years ago, we realized bank is our frenemy. So some of the bank is our friend, some of them is our like enemy. So we start to partner with the bank, like Citibank or CBC Bank or even HSBC, all become our partner. So we can really share the market, because our common enemy together, it's really the cash. What we are trying to disrupt is just the traditional cash market. And this year, we are also in the way to apply for the digital banking license here in Singapore. So we are going to be a digital bank. So if you are talking about who will be our competitor, it will be mainly all those like new coming digital bank. So that's our competitors.
And a question from Moon: what technology is it based on?
Sure. Yeah, I was an engineer, so I'm really more than happy to share with you all the technology that's based on this. So it's not really very simple to share with you the whole tech stack, but I do have all those tech ground to share with you. But in short word, is all our technology is based on the cloud. It's all actually on the cloud storage. So we have the partnership with Google Cloud. So yeah, the Google Computer Engine, we have the global partnership with them. So all those like solution we have built together, it's all deployed on the cloud. So today you want to launch it in UAE region, but tomorrow maybe you want to also launch your solution in US or even in Africa or something. It's just actually within like a few weeks that actually we can deploy the new solution for you. In the cloud, in the new region.
And another question from Mamoon: does DBS use your app? If yes, how? If no, why?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's also a very, very challenging question. I need to be a little bit careful. Yeah, because we graduated from DBS accelerator program a few years ago. And we know their like board member quite well. So DBS always saying that they either becomes, by the way, the full name of DBS is Development Bank of Singapore. But their board member always share with people, DBS either becomes a digital bank of Singapore or becomes a disappearing bank of Singapore. So that's why DBS is also becoming such a digital bank. So we definitely cannot really work with them because they already have their own team. They do put a lot of resource and investment into the digital strategy. So we did actually work with them in terms of some like a small project, but for their main product, like their app, as mentioned in this question, it's still developed by the DBS themselves. So our target partner, as I mentioned, it's mainly like a second or tier bank or even first tier bank, but with less focus on the technology itself. So we can help them to build such a technology to compete with the banker who already did such a solution in the first place. Yeah, hope that answers the question.
Okay, we'll give it another 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like we have no further questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks everyone, and really great to be here.
Thank you very much. I'd now like to welcome Synopsys.
Hello, my name is Ava Hill, and I'm the co-founder of Synopsys Solutions. Synopsys is a B2B regulatory technology company that specializes in KYC, KYB, and AML. We were founded in Singapore in 2014. We have offices in Singapore, in London, Taiwan, Vietnam, and the UAE. We have 4 integrated products in the market, and we support over 1,600 clients in 28 different jurisdictions around the world. We combine deep regulatory understanding and financial services expertise with the latest functional technologies. We appreciate that individual and client corporate onboarding can be a mundane and repetitive process. What we seek to do is to automate the manual and digitize the analog. So by combining our deep understanding of regulation with the latest functional technologies, it allows us to provide solutions to our clients that help them through the process of client onboarding. Our innovative software allows them to keep pace with regulatory change without incurring undue compliance costs. So what we do is we provide secure, scalable, and cost-effective solutions to our clients. Specifically, what we do is we support our clients throughout the entire onboarding process. So from digital onboarding, identity and document verification, through to Artemis, our eKYC platform that takes that base information and enriches it with PEP sanction adverse media screening so that it can do and conduct an automated risk assessment that then buckets the clients into high, medium, and low risk. And then finally, our third module is Athena, which is related to transaction monitoring. So a client or a corporate could have onboarded and be categorized as low risk, but there's something about their behavior that is causing a certain degree of suspicion. And what it then allows you to do is to loop back to do and conduct enhanced due diligence. Now, the most important thing to understand about our platform is that it is modular in nature. You can take one of the modules or all of the modules, but it is configurable specifically as it relates to the process and workflow for onboarding, as well as the risk assessment, ongoing due diligence cycles, etc., and the configurable rules in transaction monitoring. So my ask today is that we together conduct a pilot exercise where Synopsys can get to understand the specific pain points and requirements that you have in relation to the onboarding process so that we can configure the platform and capability to meet your specific needs. Now, just to give you a little bit of background on the management team, I co-founded Synopsys with my partner, Chai Kit, who was regionally responsible for compliance for Macquarie Bank. We both have in excess of 20 years of experience in financial services. Other members of our management team include Dan Poe, who worked with Deutsche Bank, Wei Xiong, who worked with UBS, and combined, we have over 60 years of experience in both financial services and compliance. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you
Hello.
for your presentation. Hello.
Welcome.
So our first question from Mamoon, how do you identify the customer for onboarding? How to authenticate him for transactions?
Okay, so we offer the complete onboarding journey, and we start with digital identification. So what we request at that point is either an international passport, a driver's license, or a national ID document. And we're doing certain tests to verify that behind the scenes. But what we also do is conduct a liveliness test, where we take a very short video and take stills from that and do 3D biometric tests between the government issued document and the still from the liveliness test. And in respect of transaction monitoring, what we're doing there is we configure the rules, the algorithms, to meet the specific requirements of our clients. Some of our clients work with as little as 11 rules, and some work with as many as 65 and over. Hopefully that's answered the question.
There are lots of solutions in the market currently offering RegTech solutions in the areas of ongoing due diligence and AML. What makes Synopsys different to the rest, i.e. what is your USP?
Okay, there's a good question, fair question. You're correct, and I would agree that in each of those verticals that I showed, the digital onboarding, eKYC, transaction monitoring, there's a number of different suppliers in each of those verticals. There's actually very few providers that support a platform across that entire journey that is linked. So that's one aspect. The other is the ability to configure. We already support 1,600 clients across 28 different jurisdictions. The ease of implementation and configurability of the system makes it very easy because it's based off the Financial Action Task Force global regulations. Okay, and the final thing is our experience. We've walked in the compliance department shoes, myself for over 20 years, and we just knew there had to be a better way of doing things by applying technology. So it's our experience and knowledge of the subject matter combined with our knowledge of the latest technologies.
And a question from Mamoon. Can we get the customer digital signing as part of the onboarding process?
Yes, absolutely. We have integrated DocuSign into the workflow. And basically, that is, it depends on which jurisdiction that you're operating in, but predominantly in Europe and in a number of Asian countries, the digital signature is acceptable and legally binding. So we support a great many financial services companies, and it's helping them, and wealth managers, and it's helping them with the authentic digital legally binding signatures. So the quick answer is yes.
We've got quite a few questions coming in. So another question from Afzal. Have you implemented ODD process in any bank in the UAE?
Right. We do work with a number of banks in the UAE. However, where we support them is we support them in other jurisdictions. So not specifically in the UAE, but we work with them in Singapore, in London, and in other jurisdictions. The reason why we've opened an office in the UAE is because of that exact point, physical presence and the ability to support them in their local market.
A question from Sharon. What sources do you use to identify customers? How do you dispose of false positives in identification? And what experience in Arabic language?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Sharon. Anybody that's experienced in compliance will know that false positives is the bane of everybody's life. So you could have somebody called John Smith and you receive 80 different false positive hits from that name. Now, we are database agnostic, but we are connected and fully integrated with Dow Jones Factiva and Thomson Reuters World Check, which is fine. But what we actually do is put another layer on top of that, because we're picking up the information. So from the international passport, the country of origin, the date of birth, that gives us greater fields to cross-reference against the databases to reduce the hits. And we also have the ability to tighten or loosen, and this gets back to this configurability point, the name searches and the fuzzy logic that's applied to it. So my name happens to be Ava Mark Hill. If I go for Ava Hill, an exact match, there's no hits, thankfully. But if I put the mark in there, there's a number of hits. But our configurability allows you to tighten or loosen the nature of that search. And that significantly reduces the number of false positives. I think I've hit all the points there.
Great.
I think so.
And we have a question from Mohammed Dahi. How does the business identity be digitally verified?
Okay, so we're connected. It's a good question, because no database is perfect and there is no single source of record for every corporate entity. Okay, so what we do is we connect to a number of different corporate UBO discovery engines. Okay, and that so for instance, Companies House in the UK, where all the information is freely and digitally available, so you can collect that. But if you've got an entity that's based out of the Cayman, it's extremely difficult, for instance. So we have a managed service group that allows us to write to them, and we have other service providers that will do that exercise manually, because ideally we would like to support everything in an automated fashion, but that's simply not possible, nor is it actually appropriate. If I may, there was one thing I forgot on that previous question from Sharon. We can support multiple languages, including Arabic. We're going through a POC at the moment, and specifically, it's to do with the Arabic language on the names and so on and so forth. Sorry for that, I forgot that part of it.
Oh, excellent. We have another question from Jalila Sakan. About your transaction monitoring, is that requiring integration with all our banking channels?
The way we connect, we support many of our clients through API connections to our transaction monitoring capability. So one of our largest clients is an e-commerce platform for which we conduct in excess of 50 million transaction monitoring actions every year. It would really depend on you, because given how broad your product offering is, you have some low volume, high value type transactions where it's probably not appropriate, or there's other solutions available. But for the particularly the payments businesses where there's high volume, low value, that's where we've found it. We're actually going through a pilot project with an industry pilot project with the Monetary Authority of Singapore at the moment on that. So what we're doing is creating a real-time, dynamic transaction monitoring capability. So a transaction goes through, it alerts real-time, and it goes back into the risk assessment and dynamically alerts people that you need to take a closer look.
Excellent. And we have a question from Hassan. Does the system have its own suite of AML typologies?
Okay. From the risk, the complete platform is configurable. So for our larger clients, we've done an awful lot of customization. So it could go to your specific typology. What we have based the risk assessment on are the 5 major categories as as suggested by the Financial Action Task Force. So we're looking at country risk, tax risk, screening, structural and operational risk, and beneath that we have certain algorithms. And then that part, the weighting of those factors, are configurable. But again, it's open to customization, and that's why I really want to sit down and talk to ADIB.
Excellent. We'll give it another 30 seconds. Oh, excellent. There we have another question.
Okay.
So we have a question from Shiraz Tawfiq. Does your transaction monitoring solution have AI machine learning capability and optimize alerts generated through the bank's existing TM system?
It does, but I would suspect that, you know, we've been going for 6 years. I would expect, and it's all about the ability to get at data. Now, I'm going to apply for the FCA sandbox in the UK so I can get access to more data. So yes, we do use machine learning in particular, and we use natural language processing, etc., through different parts of our offering. But it's really our ability to get at that data and the volume of data to make the machine learning AI valuable.
Excellent. That's all the questions for now. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
I would like seats.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Omar Barqawi. I'm the founder and CEO of Receipt. Receipt is an instant, smart digital receipts platform that allows merchants to offer digital receipts to their customers. It does not require an email or phone number. The way it works, we go live with businesses through their point-of-sale systems to allow consumers to obtain their digital receipts on the app or the web. It's very easy to use. All you have to do is that scan a QR code using your phone. You get a beautifully designed receipt that is fully customizable. You can categorize the receipt whenever you can categorize the receipt, and you can search for it whenever you need it. Digital receipts, contactless payments, and going digital is basically the #1 trend post-COVID-19, because people are very conscious right now to touching things, and they are paying with their phones and using contactless payments, and it doesn't make sense that they are getting a paper receipt back. So we're here to change that. And in Dubai especially, because Dubai is going paperless by 2021. As of now, we are live with 3 point-of-sale systems in the Middle East, focusing on retail and food and beverage, which means our customers are anywhere that prints a receipt. We're here today to ask you to integrate Receipt with ADIB mobile app so that customers can see receipts inside the app they trust. Our value is customer retention, increase card usage, and discover financing opportunities for both consumers and businesses. Here's a sample of receipt that can be obtained from inside ADIB mobile app. So inside the app, next to each transaction, you'll see a view receipt button. You can click on it and you get the receipt. We applied for ADIB-FintechHive program, and we believe within the period of this program, we can go live and pilot with merchants and go live by the end of the program with all merchants. Right now, we are currently live in Saudi Arabia, and we are processing around 5,000 receipts a day. Here's what our customers say about us. Some of them went completely digital, and they removed the receipt printers, and they no longer print customer paper receipts. They only offer digital receipts. This is our team. My name is Omar Barqawi. Amir Abu Shamma is our CTO. He worked with multi-billion-dollar companies in the US. Dina Titi is doing our business development with the help of Dan Raver, our advisor in the US. With this team, we achieved a lot. We were named by the World Economic Forum as one of the top 100 startups, and by Green America as one of the top 3 solutions that replace paper receipts. And we recently won the historic event in front of the pyramids of Egypt, Rise Up. Thank you so much for your time today, and we're looking forward to start discussions on this. I really appreciate your time and efforts, and we look forward to talking to you later. Thank you so much.
Hi, Omar. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
So we have a question waiting for you. The ability to categorize spend seems to lend itself to a personal finance manager tool. Is this the sole functionality, or are there any other PFM type features?
So as of today, this is the only functionality for categorizing the receipts. We are working on automating the categorization of receipts, and so it's going to be based on the category that the receipt came from, whether it's a restaurant, a retail shop, or something like that. So we'll be automatically categorizing those receipts inside the app or the web experiences. The other feature is that we help keep all receipts safe, backed up, and accessible anywhere, anytime.
A question from Ahmed from the digital team. Is this a push notification based solution? If so, why would a bank like ADIB choose a separate solution over a comprehensive push notification one?
So receipts can show up as a push notification, but like I mentioned in the presentation, we're looking into adding like a view receipt button next to each transaction from participating stores, so that when they click on it, they view the receipt. If for some reason the customer closes, locks their phone after they complete a payment and they walk away, they will definitely get a push notification with the receipt.
Excellent. Is your API documentation available to view? And typically, how long does it take to integrate with a bank like ADIB?
It is available. We can share it with you in an email through the Hive team, or we can share it definitely. And the integration is very simple and straightforward. So what we request is that we get a notification after the customer consent. We get a notification in a webhook format telling us that there was a transaction that happened with this amount, with this type, and this is the merchant ID, the authorization ID. we do the matching on our side. So we match the transaction with the receipt and we put it together. So it's very simple, very straightforward integration. It's only one API call, and you immediately get the receipt back.
And are you dependent on retail stores participating with receipt in order for your solution to work?
Yes, both. So to be honest, it's we depend on retail shops and on point of sale cashier systems to complete the integration with us. And after the integration is complete, we do need the merchant consent to share the data with the bank and with the consumer. So yeah, the answer is yes.
And a question from Peter Klimish. So you can only digitize receipts from merchants that sign up with you?
Correct.
Okay. And another question from Mohammed Dahi. Could this be used to push marketing materials?
Definitely. So that's one of our value propositions for the merchants, is that they can include marketing content inside the receipt. They can do cross-sell, upsell marketing material from inside the receipt. And we also give them a new marketing channels to reach out to their customers. Because right now, you don't, as a merchant, you don't have access to your customer after they complete a purchase. If they are not signed up to any of your programs, you have no way to get in touch with them. So with receipt, you can easily get back and reach out to them, whether from inside the receipt or send them a push notification with a marketing content and stuff like that.
Excellent. And a question from Mohammed Hamdan. Since users can categorize their receipts using receipt, does the solution offer any kind of spend insights to educate the user on the areas they're spending on, resulting in a more efficient, effective future spend strategy?
Of course, this is in our pipeline. However, our focus right now is getting more and more merchants on board because it doesn't make sense to just do it for a limited amount of merchants that we have access to and we can view receipts from. So the idea is that, as I mentioned, it's on our pipeline, it's on our top priorities, but we will start working on it when we're covering at least 70 to 80% of transactions, daily transactions.
Excellent. And have you approached any retail groups in the UAE?
Yes, definitely. We are in contact with multiple retail groups in the UAE through our partner Retail Pro, and we are in discussions with them and going live soon, inshallah.
Inshallah. We'll give it 30 more seconds.
Yeah, absolutely.
A question just came in. Could you digitize branch and ATM receipts?
Oh yeah, definitely. So like I mentioned in the presentation, our customers are basically anywhere a receipt is printed. So we can easily digitize the ATM receipts. We will require the structure of the receipt, what information needs to be there, and it can be sent to us in JSON format, and we can immediately show it inside our app or inside the banking app if needed. Same thing for the branches. So anything that is printed on paper, we can digitize basically.
Excellent. Can the solution give a spend behavior, then push the related offer or deal from ADIB?
So can you repeat it, please? I just want to make sure I understood.
No problem. So can the solution give a spend behavior, then push the related offer or deal from ADIB?
It definitely can. It's not in place yet, to be honest, but it definitely can, because as I mentioned, we will have visibility into the spending of the customer, what they do, how they do it, and when they do it. So we can definitely push stuff like deals and offers to them, triggered by specific transactions, let's say.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Omar. I think that was the last question. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thank you everyone for your time. ويسعد مساكم.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. And with that, we conclude the presentations. I'd now like to hand back to Talha.
Thank you, Nabil, and to all of the FinTechs and ADIB colleagues for participating. We hope that this session has given plenty of food for thought and that detailed discussions can now take place to explore these ideas further. As Nabil explained earlier, owing to the virtual format of the speed networking event this year, we will be facilitating follow-up meetings between FinTechs and ADIB business areas over the coming days and weeks. If you have any questions, however, then please don't hesitate to reach out to either Nabil or me directly. For now, best of luck with the discussions. Thank you and goodbye.